Hello and welcome to Paranormally Speaking. I am with my wonderful co-host, Trevor. Lynda cannot be here with us this week, unfortunately, but she will be back next week. And I believe, Trevor, you're going to be here next week, right?
I hope so. Yeah,
I hope
that's
so
the
too.
plan.
We miss you. We never get a chance to see you. So,
I know it's been crazy. So it's just work, 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 and yeah, that's the unfortunate thing of having to make a living. So uh, yeah, sorry. Wish I could be here more often for sure.
well, we do too. We do too. Um, so I'm actually really excited about this topic tonight. And before we actually get into it, listen, people, look at make sure you subscribe. Press like and subscribe. You know what? Subscribing to our channel is really it's free. It's free. It's like a free gift. so make sure
It keeps on giving.
exactly. It's the gift that keeps on giving. Subscribe, share. We truly appreciate it. We appreciate all of you being here with us. And again, you know what? Just press subscribe. Subscribe. But anyway, yeah, so this topic, this is actually really exciting. I don't know what made me kind of think about this today, but or yesterday, but I was like, you know what, I would love to do a topic on this because I just feel like there's a lot more spiritual activity that's been happening out in the planet Earth. And I feel like spirit has kind of really been stepping up in a lot of instances, like kind of protecting us, like not just in the last few weeks, but I'm talking about like the last decade, especially. I feel like there's been a lot of incidences where spirit has stepped up, you know, uh, protected us, given us some sort of guidance, et cetera, et cetera. What do you think about this? Like, here's the thing. So I know that we've kind of talked about this before in the past, especially with you being a firefighter. Have you experienced anything like this before, or anybody that
Well, yeah,
in your community, I
actually,
guess?
yeah, I've definitely had experiences where and not, I would say so much as like a warning of danger uh, per se, but more of like gaining just intuition on certain calls where it was like, I had a child that had fallen from a horse um and she really wasn't complaining much of anything um but something just kept bugging me that there was something more going on that I wasn't seeing or that she wasn't saying. And I started digging a little bit and kind of poking and prodding her and asked her, how does your tummy hurt? Does your tummy hurt at all? She goes, well, my side hurts a little bit. And then it was like clear as day to me that this kid needed to go to a trauma center and that I just knew, and I couldn't tell you how I knew, but I knew she'd fractured her pancreas,
Mm.
and which is, that's a life-threatening thing. You can bleed out pretty easily from that. And the ambulance was there, and I told them what I thought. They were just going to run her up to just the ER nearby. They wouldn't have caught it. But anyway, I convinced them somehow to take this kid to the trauma center.
Yeah.
And sure enough, they called me back later and they're like, how did you know that she'd fractured her pancreas like that? And I was like, I have no idea. So, but I mean, I fully believe that, there are angels watching over people and watching over us, and that, you know, um, that we can get insight and warnings and um, that we normally wouldn't have. It's learning how to pay attention to those things that's the kicker.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so too. Do you think that a lot of people just ignore a lot of those questions or a lot of those feelings?
Oh, absolutely. I think a lot of them either go completely unnoticed or people rationalize it away
Yeah.
as,
Yeah.
oh, I'm just being paranoid or whatever.
Um, I want to tell you this story. This happened a few years ago. I would actually say it was probably, it was just before the pandemic, so before everything shut down. And it was really interesting. So I was at home. I was like sitting on the couch, just chilling out, whatever. And all of a sudden, I kept hearing like it was more. It wasn't really hearing. It was more like a feeling. Like I gotta go. I gotta go to Walmart. It's so stupid, right? Like of all things, like, I gotta go to this store. Like I gotta go right now. There were things that I was going to get anyway. Like at some point I was going to go to the store because I had to pick up some stuff for supper. But it was like, no, you gotta go now. You gotta go now. Like go now. Go now. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna go now. So I had a roommate at the time and I said, let's, come with me. I'm just gonna run over to Walmart and whatever. And so we drove over there. We walk in and I'm just kind of doing my thing, picking up stuff. And all of a sudden this woman comes running down the aisle with this kid in her hand, probably about 2, 3 years old. And she's screaming because the kid is starting to turn blue because he can't breathe. And there's these other employees that are kind of following her behind her. And I'm like, what? And she's like, my baby can't breathe. My baby can't breathe. I don't know what caused me to do this or anything else, but I just sort of turned the baby over and smacked the back and he was, he started like breathing again. But it wasn't so much that he was choking. It seemed to be more like he was sick or something like that. Like there was some, you know what I mean? And I guess they had just taken him to the walk-in clinic and he had a super high fever, the whole bit, which, now makes me think, I wonder, you know what I mean? Like, was it right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then called ER or called the 911. The paramedics came and I was able to hand him off, and stuff like that. But the mom was just like, she couldn't operate at all. Like she was just a mess, and the employees were fairly fucking useless, to be quite honest. Right? You know what I'm saying? But I was like, when I got home, I was like, okay, is that why I was told? Is that why I had this urgency to go? you
Yeah.
know I really felt like there was a reason why I needed to be there, and it's not like anyone else couldn't have saved the child. Like it's not like, it's not like, here I come to save the day. You know what I mean? It's not like that. But at the same time, you kind of wonder like, what was it that I needed to see in there? Or was it that, maybe I was calm for the mom? Like I don't know what it was, because I was like super calm. Like I wasn't worried about this at all. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it was really interesting, like how you sometimes hear those things, like it's like you got to go now, like go now, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it's just yeah, it's not like you're hearing it wasn't like I'm hearing a voice or anything. It's just like these
Hmm.
ideas start it's like
Flooding
I
in.
don't know. It's just weird. It's just there all of a sudden. But and I've heard similar stories to that where somebody gets they've got this need. They think of a friend that they hadn't thought of in years,
Hmm.
maybe, and all of a sudden they need to call that person. They just know I just really need to call this person,
Yeah. Yeah.
and just out of the blue, and they'll call, and the story that my buddy told me was like, yeah, I called this guy up I hadn't talked to in years, and I just had this nagging urge that I needed to talk to him, because I just kept thinking about him all of a sudden, and turned out the guy was on the verge of killing himself,
Oh my God.
and my buddy that had called him, I mean, kind of prevented that from happening. It
Yeah.
was kind of crazy. So, I mean, it's not always about just protecting us. Sometimes there's other people that need something from us to help them too. So, and
Yeah. I think you're right. I think that's very, very true. Um, let's see. Oh, hey guys.
yeah,
Hi, Michael. um, I can't read that from that far away. Oh, Parasola 75. Hello, welcome to the show. Glad that you guys are here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Remember, guys, join in the conversation. If you have a story, we will read it on the air if you like us to. Um, Hello, YouTube 2023. Nice to meet you. um, so yeah, I mean, there's so I took a video of my house today. Hey Eddie, how's it going? Oh my
yeah,
God, I love
yeah,
it.
everybody's coming in. I like it. Hi,
Yay!
everybody.
Thank
Michael
you.
broke the ice for everybody. Michael says hello, and then everybody's like, "Oh, we can talk." Yeah.
Yay! Um, I took a video of my house today, and I just had to tell you because this was something that popped up, and I remembered it about, or I remembered about it. I don't think I said that like whatever. Anyway, but I took a video of my house today because back when I was actually pregnant with my son, so this is like what 21 years ago. Obviously my house has changed. Michael's like pizza party. um, but I remember the weirdest thing happened, and I always look back at it as I wonder if this was a warning of some sort. Like maybe I should have paid more attention back then, whatever. And my son's father was, let's just say, like a lazy SOB, you know what I mean? And it's like didn't never really helped around the house. He didn't live here, but at the same time, you would think that you would help your, pregnant girlfriend or whatever. And he was like passed out on the couch, and I had a couple of loads of laundry that I had gone downstairs, and I had two laundry baskets, one on top of the other, and I'm like chugging it up the stairs, right? And so at the entrance of my door, which I'll show you because I did take a little bit of a video just to so you guys have an idea, at the entrance to the front door there used to be a coat, those the coat stands that the stand up. Well, I used to overfill it all the time, and so it would always fall down. Right, because it would take brains to actually remove some of the coats instead of just letting it fall. But anyway, so it used to fall down all the time. So I remember passing by it, and I could feel this thing going whoosh right behind me. All right. So, but I couldn't really turn around to look because I was carrying these laundry baskets, and he was like, kind of looking at me from the couch, like no offer to help or anything like that. Right. And then I remember he kind of turned around because I kind of looked at him, and then all of a sudden I felt this whoosh behind me, and I was like, what the heck was that? So anyway, I went upstairs, I put all of the clothes away, I come downstairs, and as I'm walking down the stairs, I'm thinking to myself, oh, I still got to pick up that damn thing, and put all the coats back up and all of this stuff, right? Well, as I walked down the stairs, it wasn't the coat rack that fell. What it was a smoke detector that was on my wall, far away from the door that I actually, passed by. And so this smoke detector somehow flew from one part of the wall all the way past me to like the front door. And I'm going to show you right now, like so just excuse the, if there's any mess, I'm pretty sure there is. Just hang on a second. Um, but you'll kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about. And what I did is I actually, like, once I saw the smoke detector was like broken half, what I did is I put it back together, and I tried to recreate this as much as I could. I kept hitting the smoke detector. I flung it as much as I could, from where it was, and I could not recreate this whatsoever. And I think back now, because there was all kinds of other, issues with this dude later on. But just sometimes you're just grateful that you have your children, you know what I mean? And sometimes people just enter your life for one particular reason, and then that's okay if they exit your life afterwards, right? But I think that was that sign that get rid of this, get rid of this person, right? So I'm
Yeah.
just going to show you this really quickly here. Okay, hopefully this works. Okay. Can you see the screen? I don't know if that's showing.
Yeah, I'm seeing your screen.
Okay, all right. So here we go. So you'll kind of get an idea. See that? So where this clock is right here, that's where there used to be, something else above it. It was like an old doorbell, sort of mechanism.
Okay.
So above that was where the smoke detector sat. And then you can see the stairs, like, right behind there. And that's the stairs that I went up. But then you can see the distance all the way to the door. You see what I'm saying? So that's a
Yeah.
lot. Like that's not normal. You know what I'm saying? Like that's not something that, again, excuse my disaster area or whatever, but you can see my snakes kind of. um, but Yeah, so yeah, that's quite a distance. So you can see it, like I said, I tried to recreate over and over and over and over again. Oh, you can't see my snakes. That's okay. I tried to recreate it over and over and over again, and I could not recreate it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but you know, you can obviously see like that huge distance. And so I still to this day cannot explain what that was. But all I know is that as I was walking by and I saw that look from him, kind of like perfectly okay with, you know, this like 8-month pregnant person with a belly out to here carrying up 2 loads of laundry up those stairs. I was just like, I mean, I was angry, right? Then I start to think, well, maybe I did it.
Well, yeah, well, that, I mean, isn't that the whole poltergeist thing that, that
Right?
potentially?
Absolutely.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
that's
I
amazing
mean,
though. But I mean, it seems like you read it. I feel like you probably read that correctly as kind of that sign of like, okay, you know what?
yeah.
So,
Do we really need this person in our
right.
lives? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because literally, like, like, we literally broke up like the week that my son was born. I was done. I was like, get out. You're out of here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah, it was really, you know, I really feel like I think you're right. Like I think I read that situation right. But yeah, there was no physical way for that smoke detector to fly across.
No.
To fly
Yeah, that's
across.
strange.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
my daughter shared a story with me a little while back. So she just we have our first grandson,
Awesome.
and he's about 11, 12 weeks old now, I think, a couple months old now. And anyway, she's first time mom trying to figure things out,
Mm.
and the sleep deprivation is starting to set in, because baby's up all night and stuff. And her husband helps out. But the one night she was just tired, and Rowan, my grandson, he's got to eat like every 15 minutes, it seems like. He's always hungry. He's going to be a big kid. He's growing like
Yeah.
a weed. So she decided that she was just going to help lay him in his bassinet next to her bed, and she was doing something else. So she kind of scrunched up the blanket next to his head and laid the bottle there so he could just turn and have the bottle. And
Yeah.
she said that she remembered thinking like she needed to keep an eye on him so he didn't like turn into the blanket and somehow suffocate himself.
Right,
Uh,
right.
because she thought this might not be a good idea, but she did it anyway, and she feels really bad for doing it. But she fell asleep, and she remembers she suddenly woke up, and it was like a half hour later or whatever, and she panicked because she'd fallen asleep, and she turned and looked, but the bottle had moved over to the other side of the bassinet, was standing up, and the blanket had been pulled down and covered Rowan from chin to toe, like he'd been tucked in,
Oh my
and was
god.
just laying there. He was fine, and she woke up her husband, and they were both just like, what the heck? And they knelt down and said a prayer of thanks, and stuff like that. So, I mean,
Oh, he's
uh,
definitely being protected.
oh, 100%. 100%. So she sent me a picture of the aftermath, it's, where the bottle was and things like that. But, again, I firmly believe that we have, loved ones and angels,
Mhm.
loved ones that have passed and angels that watch over
I
us.
have an idea of who that is, but I can always tell you off camera too, like later.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. No, you can tell me. Go ahead. Who do you have an idea who it
It
was?
was your mom. It was your mom.
Huh?
It was your mom.
I believe so as well. I
Yeah, it was your mom.
firmly
Like,
firmly
I
believe
mean,
that.
it's very, very clear it was your mom. Like, she, you
Yeah.
know totally protecting your son. Absolutely.
Yeah,
100%.
I
Mhm.
firmly, that
Yeah.
was my very first inclination as well. So
Yeah.
that my mom was watching over
Right
him.
away, as soon as you were telling me that, you can literally feel her, going in and swaddling the baby and just the whole bit.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So unbelievable. Yeah. It's so wild how, they're there for us, right? And it's funny how people say, oh, it's just coincidence or whatever. But no, they are there, and they show up in the but he's going to be very, very protected for his life
Yeah,
with her.
I
Yeah,
believe so.
100%. Yeah, absolutely. So these were some of the, so we were talking some of the spiritual warnings. And I wouldn't mind kind of going over them. And these ones are definitely ones that I was listening to some of them, and I thought, I mean, they're off of TikTok, whatever, but I thought, these are very they are definitely very prominent warnings. I do feel like these are ones that I think that we've talked about probably on the show here or amongst ourselves or something like that. Like they're definitely ones that we've even probably told clients to be aware of. And so I thought we could hang on a second. I'm just trying to get I think this is one of them here. Okay. Let's go with this one. Um and again, hopefully you guys can see this. Oh, okay, there we go. Okay. Let's see. Oh, hang on. Having volume.
Yeah, you got to
Oh,
unmute it, I think. Up on the
yeah.
up left hand. I can't tell if it was muted or not.
No, it was muted. Hang on a second.
Here are some spiritual
Okay.
signs you should never ignore, especially if you're
Can you hear that
intuitive,
now?
empathic, or spiritually aware, because your intuition speaks
Can you hear it now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
first through the body before the mind catches up. And the earlier you notice these signs, the more protected and aligned you stay. Number 1. If you're about to leave your house and you keep forgetting things, dropping items, or feeling unusually delayed, pause. Sit down, breathe, and wait a moment, because this is often spiritual protection, slowing your timing so you're not in the wrong place at the wrong time. Whether that's avoiding an accident, a conflict, or simply aligning you with better blessings for the day. Number 2. If you're talking to someone and you suddenly feel off, distracted, or you forget what you were saying mid-sentence, stop oversharing. Gently change the subject, because your energy is signaling that the person doesn't need access to your inner world right now, and discernment is a form of self-respect. Number 3. If plants in your home suddenly wilt, or protection jewelry unexpectedly breaks, especially after certain people visit, that's often energy transference, meaning something heavy was absorbed before it could reach you, which is why cleansing your space and being mindful of who you allow close matters more than people realize. Finally, be intentional about your hair, because across spiritual traditions, it's seen as an energetic antenna. So protect it, honor it, and be selective with who touches it, because your spirit is always communicating with you. And the more you listen to these subtle cues, the more aligned, protected, and grounded you become over time. Love you guys. Peace out. Here
So his name is Sun Media Codes. If you guys want to, take another look at him. But yeah, I found that kind of interesting. One of the ones that I would actually, where he's talking about like stop oversharing. I mean, I think that it's good, like what he said about discernment. Like, maybe this person doesn't need to hear at that moment, but I'm also going to turn it the other way too, where I've been stopped by saying something like internally, or sometimes you feel like you can trust somebody and you start oversharing, and then all of a sudden you just get a weird feeling. Turns out that that person was actually somebody that you can't trust, and that is somebody who would spread gossip or lies, or not be an honest individual in regards to the conversation, that sort of thing. So I feel like it goes both ways, definitely on that one. What do you feel?
I think so too. I like him because he gives me an excuse for being absent-minded and clumsy. It's like, you know. I mean, no, wait, what is this? I'm not particular. Was there's that meme of the old timer? He's standing there. He's like, I'm not particularly handsome, and I may not be the smartest man in the world. He's like, I don't remember where I'm going with this, but I do like bacon. The
Yeah.
other one, and then for me, it's like, yeah, I drop things like constantly, grabbing stuff, walking by, boom, down on the ground. So am I clumsy? I don't know. No, actually, it's just the spirits slowing me down. So, which is, and you just, the great thing about it is you just never know, right? So if you listen to that warning or, those spirits are slowing you down, hopefully uh, you'll never know what it is that you missed, hopefully. Or maybe you will. Maybe, I come to think of it, yes, there was a
I
time
have a
that
story
did
about this.
happen.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
did get slowed down. And I drove into an area coming down the road, and just ahead of me, not too far, a big accident happened.
Yeah,
And I was like, I would have been right in the middle of that.
yeah.
And and so yes, it does happen. Now that I think I hadn't thought about that for years, but yep. So, and Dan, I agree. That's why I just throw a hat on my head. My spiritual antennas is all over the place. So,
That's funny. Um, back in the day, no, my son was little. I would say he was probably about 5 or 6, and we were driving home from a friend's house, and we've got this. It's not really a highway. It's I don't know what you want to call it. It's a free. I don't know, whatever. It's a road that kind of goes around the city. You know what I mean? Goes from one end to the next end, and fast travel, kind of whatever.
kind of like a
Anyway, we're
bypass.
on, huh?
Kind of like a bypass. Doesn't go through town, just
Yeah,
goes around
yeah,
it.
exactly. Like it does go all the way to Banff. Like if we were to stay on it or Jasper or one of those things, it goes all the way through to BC, but then it can also go all the way to Saskatchewan. So it kind of runs all the way through, but it runs through the city, right? So
Gotcha.
anyway, we were on this, we were coming home from a friend's house, and all of a sudden on the side of I was like, I could it wasn't it was kind of late, but the traffic was really, really quiet. Like there was hardly any traffic. And so as we were driving, I all of a sudden there was this great big, like, I don't know if it was a coyote or a wolf, like, to be honest, because it was fairly big, but because of the speed that we were kind of going at. But I did slow down, and I tried to, I slowed down as much as I could, probably only by a few seconds. I'm going to say like maybe, 10, 15 seconds. And I was like, Dre, look, there's a wolf outside. I called it a wolf, and it's probably a stupid coyote, but whatever. Anyway, he was just standing there. Like he was just standing there kind of like looking at us. And I was like, wow, okay, this is kind of cool. Anyway, so we kept driving, and then we get up to the road where we are supposed to turn, and you get the blinking light and whatever. And all of a sudden this car just vroom, goes right through the fucking red. And this is a huge, massive truck. And if we had not slowed down for that coyote or wolf or whatever it was, we would have been T-boned immediately. Like we would have been in pieces, in pieces. This guy was flying through that fucking light.
Mm.
And I was I we turned the corner, and all of a sudden it kicks in. When you get that, when you suddenly realize what actually just happened,
Mhm.
and then you get you get the shakes, and you're just like, holy shit, this just happened. You know what I mean? And I went into like hyperventilation. I could hardly breathe. I actually ended up having to pull over because I was just like, holy shit, this just happened. And that if we hadn't slowed down for that beautiful animal, that we would have been all over the road easily, easily. This guy was probably doing 80 kilometers through that light immediately. Like he was just going, and he was in a big like 150. So it was terrifying. You know what I mean? And then you think back, like, holy shit, that coyote was there for a reason. Like he was there for a reason, 100%. And he was just looking right at us like this. So yeah, I
That's
I
crazy.
fully believe that. What's that?
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, it's interesting, the things that just seem so random, just that random thing or that random coincidence where it's just kind of like, oh, that thing just saved my life.
Yeah, exactly,
Mm,
exactly. Um, oh, I like that. Okay, awesome. Oracle
mm.
Intuitions. Just happened to run across you and subscribe when I saw the title of the stream. I don't think investigators realize how often this happens. 100%. And welcome Paranormal Papal Investigations. Thank you so much for subscribing, and it's such a pleasure to have you here. Yeah, this is something that does happen quite often, and I think that a lot of people, I do feel that sometimes people kind of chalk it up to their house being haunted or something like that, especially if they've had a couple of incidences where maybe there has been a family member that has tried to save them or whatever. This was actually one of the reasons, and some people are going to complain about, or not complain but argue with me on this, and I'm okay with that. This is one of the reasons why I personally don't do cleansings for the most part. Like, unless it's absolutely something that you know is not, um, you know, uh, that it's not, there's no friendliness behind it. You know what I mean? A highly, very negative entity. Right. But even then, we're just people. Like, I think that requires, something like uh, a pastor or a priest, or somebody that has a higher ability to be able to remove things like that. But there are things that you can definitely do. But I think that to some degree, I think a lot of these are just like, people being protected, and our loved ones coming in and protect. Can you imagine, like, I mean, here's the thing. We know that was your mom, but what if your daughter wasn't fully aware like you are, like having you as a dad, right? And she freaked out and tried to remove her. Like, how
Tough
sad
to
is that?
something
You
like that.
know?
Yeah, that'd be tough. Yeah, yeah, and I agree, and I typically don't, when we do an investigation with a client and if we get the evidence and things like that, we are very clear on, if it's something that isn't malevolent, that's something that's just there, it's
Hmm.
like, hey, you know, what do you ultimately want to do? There's nothing dangerous happening here. You know, uh, there's no malice behind it. These are spirits that are just letting you know that they're around, and
Yep.
most people seem to be okay with that.
Yeah.
And I think it's how we present that to them. Most people are just afraid of the unknown. And once those things become known, it's just kind of like a scary movie. If you watch a scary movie for the first time, you don't know when the jump scares are going to happen. It's going to get you every time. But then
Yeah.
at the end, it's usually not that big of a deal. And you watch that movie again, and it's not scary at all anymore, right? So, um,
Exactly.
yeah.
K YouTube 2023 asks, can a shadow person be a warning? 100%. And I'm going to tell you something about this. Is just my okay. So when I say this, understand that this is my theory, or my hypothesis, or I haven't been able to prove this yet, although it's happened in enough incidents, or incident, whatever, to make me have a stronger belief that this is what it is. And there is so obviously, we hear about the man in the hat, we hear about this, we hear about that. There is also like the cowboy, you know and this is really interesting because I really feel like this cowboy, he's seems like, in the cases that I've personally gone to, I feel like he comes in when people are being unethical in the spiritual practices of some sort. And he comes in as a shadow, but you can see like he's wearing a cowboy hat, you might even see the chaps on him, but it is a black shadow. And this is really interesting. We had this one case where we went to this house, and this woman was being like, there was all kinds of, weird stuff that was happening and all of this, whatever. And I just kept getting this really bad feeling about her fiance. I don't know what it was, but I felt like there was something, going on. And then once I kept talking to her, it turns out that this guy isn't working. He's been pretty much sponging off of her. He kind of scares her with the paranormal because apparently he's got like, some sort of background in whatever it was. And, like some sort of spiritual background, some sort of cultural background, blah, blah, blah. And it was, and so kind of like he was really like, let's say essentially he was stealing from her. Okay, like that's pretty much where the bottom line was. And so we had gone to the house. Now we weren't doing a full investigation at this time. Basically we were kind of just checking everything out, seeing if it needed to have an investigation, all of that. We were sitting in the basement, and all of a sudden this image appeared to me of this cowboy. And he pointed at this guy because we were all in this circle, like, together, right? And he went, and all of a sudden, this guy is like, "Oh my God, what the hell was that?" And I was like, I just opened my eyes and I was like, what just happened? Because I saw the image in my head, right? And then all of a sudden this guy in human form, like this person, like real life person, is reacting to what I just saw. And I was like, what the hell just went on? Like, and it was just so wild. Anyway, basically all said and done, she discovered that this was what was happening and all of that, and it made so much sense. But then I actually started talking to people, like, you talk to people in the paranormal, right? And it was really interesting because there was this lady that would come into the store that I was working at the time, and she was talking about how she saw this cowboy person go into her neighbor's. She said, one day I was just sitting there and all of a sudden I saw this cowboy appear in my living room. He was like this black shadow, and he walked through the wall to my neighbor's house. And I was like, what? And she goes, I don't understand it. And I said, well, what does your neighbor do or whatever? And she goes, well, she is a tarot reader. She takes clients on. And she goes, but I think that she's ripping people off, like for thousands of dollars, kind of thing. And so I was like, you know what? I wonder if this is what's happening. And I've heard this guy appear a few times, and it's almost like that spiritual warning, like he appears because of the fact that these people are doing something that is completely unethical. I want to call him like a watcher, but he does interact in that aspect. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Turns
Yeah.
out that like a few months later, she said that this woman was caught for fraud
Oh,
and
wow.
moved out. Yeah. So, and I kind of think that that's my hypothesis anyway. You know what I mean? So I do feel that, y- you know, uh, I think I do feel like shadow people can definitely be a warning. And then he asks, how can a spirit hurt you if you are supposedly protected? Well, you know what? We're only protected if we allow the protection to be there, right? So we're
Yep.
not, I mean, if we're walking into something knowing that this could be dangerous or that this could be
Yep.
whatever, or if we're behaving unethically or immorally in some way or whatever it is, absolutely a spirit can come
Yeah.
and
Or if we
cause harm.
ignore those spiritual warnings that we're protected with to begin with, right? Paranormal, I'm sorry, Pal investigations, is kind of telling a little bit of story in the chat here. And I've had similar experiences on investigations myself where I would get not maybe so much verbal but very clear warnings, like sensations, like
Mhm.
you don't need to go over there, you don't know to be. I remember I was walking around in this very, very large basement, which was an awesome investigation, by the way. In fact, we the I had one of my investigators. We were he was down there. He was wearing kind of a heavier Carhartt jacket, This was like in February here in Idaho, and so we had snow on the ground and it was pretty cold, and so he had one of his heavy jackets on, and we'd been down in the basement for not very long, maybe 15-20 minutes, and he started kind of getting fidgety and acting uncomfortable, and he kept trying to reach around and scratch his back and trying to reach, and he says, I don't know, it feels like he got there was something crawling on his back or a spider or something. And so we checked his back and lifted up his shirt, and he had 2 scratches running down either side of his spine,
Oh my
which
God.
was weird because he was wearing that heavy jacket. You shouldn't be able to get
Yeah.
scratches, like a heavy, almost like canvas
Well,
size
without the
jacket.
jacket being damaged, like, yeah, like
And
how
there
does
was
that happen, right?
and the walls were covered in dust and spider webs, and it was just
Yeah.
it was a very neglected commercial basement. And when we went back and reviewed the audio and stuff, there was uh, an EVP that we got, and it sounded like a small child or a little child that was kind of off in the distance. And to this day, I think it's still the creepiest EVP that I'd ever heard, because he says, "Let's play," and I'm like,
Wow.
"Oh, that is just
Oh
no."
shit.
So, but what was so interestingly enough, it was after that had happened, I kind of started wandering around. I hadn't heard the EVP yet. We hadn't gone through the evidence. I was kind of wandering back deeper into this basement, and I all of a sudden just felt this overwhelming sensation. Stop. Just stop. Don't go over there. You don't need to go over there. If you go over
Yeah.
there, something bad's going to happen to you,
Yeah.
type thing.
Yeah.
And I wasn't afraid or anything. I tell people it's kind of like, I'm not afraid of bears. I'm not afraid of grizzly bears. I'm not afraid of anything. It doesn't mean I'm going to go up and slap one in the face, though, right? So I have, when I'm investigating, I'm not afraid of ghosts. I'm not afraid of demons. I'm not afraid of any of those things. But I'm going to have a healthy respect for what they are and what they can do, and pay attention to those warnings, because I want to protect myself, I want to protect my family, and I want to protect the people that I'm investigating for and investigating with. Another time we were investigating another location, and we were sitting there, and just we were doing our EVP session and kind of just talking amongst each other, and all of a sudden I had this thought just popped into my head: you need to leave. It was time to go. And I remember saying, oh, we need to go. We need to go to a different location or a different spot. And we all stood up and left. And later on, when we were reviewing the evidence, right before I said we need to go, there is an EVP that says get out. It's just you
Wow.
know you know
So a part of
on
you probably
investigation.
heard this, but without acknowledge, like your
I
psychic caught
yeah,
it. You know what
yes,
I mean?
my psyche definitely heard it.
Yeah.
It was way too much of a coincidence in my book, but I think paranormal investigators definitely need to pay attention to those feelings and to that intuition during investigations, because you are quite literally trying to communicate with spirits, and those spirits very well may be trying to communicate with you, and those spirits that are there to help protect you, they can only do that if you're going to listen and pay attention. So
Yeah,
um
exactly. Uh, s- uh,
synchronicities.
Paranormal Papal Investigations. He says, we were doing an investigation once, speaking to a soldier killed in Vietnam. Very nice communication, very informative. All of a sudden, we started getting evil, devil, death, doorway. Um, and then within 25 minutes, I was scratched on my back and the mark was recorded. Jesus.
Yep.
That's crazy, hey? Do you think like that was the soldier that did it, or do you think that it was something around the soldier, right? Well, I'm waiting for you to respond to that. I'm going to read this one. Is seeing the numbers or the synchronicity of 1111 a warning? No, 1111 is actually to pay attention to your thoughts. So like it is, I guess to some degree it's a warning, but it's not a warning like a warning. You know what I mean? It's more like, look at, we're trying to help you manifest. So pay attention to what it is that you're thinking about. Chances are you might sometimes see 1111 when you're kind of like in a crappy mood or you're kind of spiraling about something, right? You might see 1111, or maybe you're thinking about something happy and positive and you see 1111. It's basically pay attention to your thoughts. So be in a place like whether it's negative or positive, pay attention to that, because what you want to do is you want to manifest on a positive vibration, right? And so basically it could be warning you, like, look at, you're heading down a spiral. Hey, get your head out of the clouds there. Stop spiraling. Or it's saying, look at, you know what you're creating and manifesting can actually be created through these thoughts. So stay in a more positive vibration. I've been married twice and died 3 times in my 57 years. There's not much out there that scares me. Sounds like you, Trevor. Yeah, not the married many times. Or the dying. The scaring, yes.
you did have so one of the TikTok videos you shared with me actually kind of talked about the recurrence of seeing numbers.
Okay, we can take a look at that for sure. And then he says, Eddie says, I agree with you. Listen to your inner voice and feelings. Do you remember which one it was?
It was the one that had the other guy in it.
Okay. All right. I got him right here. I'm pretty sure. If this isn't it, let me know. All right, here we go. Hang on a second. Okay. How to make sure I was doing the right one.
Yeah, that sounds like a crazy experience, Paranormal Couple. That's pretty crazy. So I haven't been scratched myself yet, but never say never.
Not that you want to be, but okay, here we'll go. Can you see this? Is it showing up?
Yep, I can see it. Yeah.
Okay, there we go. All right.
Number 1, you hear strange voices, disembodied voices. These are usually spirits trying to get your attention by calling your name, saying stop, that kind of thing. And when you look for whoever said it, no one is to be seen. Number 2, dreams. Dreams are so important. And the reason being, spirits can access you when you're asleep because your conscious mind has stopped filtering out things and trying to make sense of things, so spirits can come through to you easily. Very, very important. If you're dreaming of your granddad barbecuing on a surfboard in the middle of Australia while sharks circle him, that's probably too much dairy before bed. If he sat at the end of your bed going, listen, I'm here, and you can feel his touch, you can feel his presence, it feels real, that's what we call a visitation dream. Number 3, gut feelings. This is usually your body reacting to spiritual energy, guys. It's your body's way of reacting. Adrenaline into your stomach, the blood flow to your stomach cuts off, adrenaline feeds into it. It's the initiating of a fight or flight response, and it's a spirit's way of saying, whoa, you need to stop now. Something's bad's going to happen. It's your body unknowingly reacting to the spiritual energy around it. Number 4, technology fails you. Psychic and physical energy does not work together. Technology around you, TVs, laptops, phones, lagging, delaying, shutting apps without you asking, toasters misbehaving, cookers breaking down, electronics breaking is a very clear sign that spirits are using all their energy to interfere with the electronics around you to get you to pay attention to them. Listen when that happens. Number 5. Have you ever had fail-proof plans? You're going out with a girl, something along those lines, or the boys, and all of a sudden you start feeling really run down, tired. You've been vibrant all day, buzzing off the walls, and all of a sudden you're feeling like, I don't want to go out tonight. For no reason. It's a spirit going, hang on, don't go there. Something bad's about to happen, all right? Your body is reacting to the spiritual energy around you, and you start feeling sluggish. Maybe a sudden illness comes out of nowhere that is normally put in, and it goes very quickly as well. Normally, that's a spirit putting that in place to prevent you from making a mistake or going somewhere where you shouldn't be. Losing things is a very common thing. Things like keys, handbags, wallets, all that kind of thing, just as you're about to go out, is a very common sign from spirits to let you know, don't go there. You don't need to be there. Stay at home. You're safer at home. Pay attention to these things, guys. When you become a spirit, you have nothing to do. You don't have to go to work. You don't have responsibilities. You don't have a mortgage to pay. You live the life of luxury. The majority of spirits spend their afterlife looking after their loved ones in the living plane. and guiding you. Now, they are limited for how much you can pick up on them. So they'll use the objects around you and your physical body to let you know that they're still there. Trust me, your past loved ones are still guiding you, looking after you to this day. It's down to you to pick up on the signs. Those were just a few. Let me know if you've ever experienced them. I'm Psychic Medium Jesse King, and I'm here to help.
So I got to tell you about this. This is really interesting. Yeah. So I totally forgot about this. Actually, this happened. Oh my gosh, I would say 15 years ago for sure. My son was just a little guy at the time, and I remember I woke up and I went outside. I was having like a coffee. I'm sitting on my front step. It was a beautiful day. You could see the lilac trees where, it was like around spring kind of thing. And I was like, I want to go for a walk. And this is something that I never did. Like, I never went for a morning walk. You know what I mean? But I was just so like, I feel like I really need to go for a walk. I need to go. And then I got up and I was going to get ready. And all of a sudden, so interesting. I really felt tired. I was like, I don't know what's wrong with me. Like, all of a sudden, I kind of feel like I'm having a panic attack. Like, okay, what is going on? Like, this is really weird. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to go take a shower. And then when I get out of the shower, I'll go and I think I'm going to still go for my walk because I really want to pick some of these lilacs off this tree that was like, so we live across the street from a high school and a junior high, right? Like, and I wouldn't even say it's across the street. It's literally like across like a small parking lot in a park. Like, you know what I mean? It's a very short distance, right? And so that's where I was going to go because that's where these lilac trees were. And so I was going to go over there and, pick the lilacs, whatever. But I just suddenly felt like I drained, like just drained and almost nauseous too. So I went, took a shower, and then I come downstairs and all of a sudden there's this at our door and there's fucking police all over our front, like all over our street. And there's a detective standing at my door and he's asking questions about, have you seen anything suspicious and blah, blah, blah. And they're all in, this is a weird thing. They're all in the area of where those lilac trees are. So they were basically between, so you've got the high school, then there's a pathway, the swimming pool, a pathway, and the junior high. And they were all in between the high school and the swimming pool. And this is where this lilac tree was. And there was several cops around there. And, and we were like, what the hell is going on? And he said there was a suicide. Somebody jumped off of the pool roof, and it was a kid, like a teenager. And he goes, this woman discovered him while walking her dog. That literally was where I was going to go for my walk. And so that tiredness, I feel like afterwards I was like, holy shit, that just protected me. Like I was not supposed to see this. I probably would have lost my mind if I had been the one that discovered him. You know what I mean? But at the same time, because of the fact that I was being drawn there, even though that's not something like it was not in my routine or even in my thought process whatsoever, ever. I feel like there was something in the spirit that was calling me over there to maybe discover him. But at the time, maybe he was also discovered and I wasn't needed anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I really feel like spirit kind of put up that barrier and said, no, you don't need to see this. Right.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
It was haunted. Like, it was one of those haunting things for a long time where you're just like, holy shit. Because it was just a teenager. Like, I think he was like 14 or 15. And I probably would have lost my mind having, kids and stuff like that around that age group, So
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that wasn't the video that the same guy.
I got the other one here.
but that's because he did talk about the gut feeling thing.
Yeah.
And for those who don't know, like my job, I'm a firefighter paramedic, and I've been doing it for 30 years. And gut feelings is a big deal. And it has helped me out more than on one occasion with dealing with patients and things like that, even being on certain fire calls, thinking like, this isn't, right. And I've been in situations where, I didn't like how a building was looking or whatever while it was on fire, and then all of a sudden the ceiling would collapse, things like that. But the gut feelings is even recognized in the medical community as a legitimate reason to do something. And so like putting people in the trauma side, like I told that story at the beginning of the show about the little girl, and then I
Yeah.
just knew there was something wrong with her, even though she wasn't presenting the way normal. I had, it was an overwhelming thing, and even in our charting system, our standing written orders, it talks about like reasons to put somebody into the trauma system. You got this type of vital sign with this type of injury, da 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 da. And then it comes down to, and it used to say gut feeling,
Oh, wow.
paramedic gut feeling.
Yeah.
And because more than once it had actually, that had happened with people. So it's pretty interesting. Yeah. But yeah, the numbers thing, yeah, the guy did touch on it and he talked about it. If you see certain numbers like 911, and you're seeing those numbers constantly, like throughout the day or whatever, stuff like that. There's actually, and it's not always warnings, kind of like Kathy was saying. It was sometimes, it's just you need to pay attention to this, and sometimes they're actual spiritual signs. I read a book by a gal that talked about those very like my sister calls them like angel numbers or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That I don't really fully understand, but there are signs that will pop up like that every once in a while.
I'll
That
play this one actually right now too. Just hang on a second. Here we go. Um,
oh, that's where you see. There it is at the bottom. Yeah, you keep seeing the same number. That's correct. I thought it was the other guy that was talking.
yeah. So, sudden restlessness or anxiety in safe spaces. You're calm 1 minute and then tense or paranoid for no reason, especially at home or around specific people. 100%. Repeating dreams or nightmares. You keep saying the same person, symbol, or fear in your sleep. That's a spiritual alarm. Animals acting strangely around you. Pets growling, avoiding you, constantly staring, especially cats and dogs, can signal unseen energy. That actually has happened to my daughter with one of our pets. It was crazy. Yeah, and this is when we were living in that haunted house. It was bizarre. Candles burn unevenly or flicker wildly during prayer, and it says your spiritual tools reveal resistance of, or the presence of interference. Sudden sickness after visiting certain places or people. Yep. If you get a headache, stomach pain, or fatigue after a visit, that's not just energy, it's a warning. And then lastly, you keep seeing the same numbers or symbols, repeating numbers like 444, 911, or animal omens like blackbirds, crows, or signs. Pay attention to the feeling you get when they appear. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
yeah.
I think that's the big thing is paying attention to how that's making you feel, right? So if it's making you feel super uneasy or nervous about something, then maybe it's a type of warning. So
Yeah, absolutely. Um, Yeah, and we've talked about this, like with that haunted house that we used to live in, where it was all about the Barbie dolls, and I remember with my daughter, all of a sudden she got a brand new Barbie, and she was opening it up, and all of a sudden our family pet just suddenly lost his mind, like completely, like it was like he went crazy. And he tried attacking my daughter for no reason, like just like out of the blue. And she loved this dog. Like her and this dog used to lay down together. They cuddled all the time. Like it was, you know what I mean? Like he loved her, she loved him, you know what I mean? She did everything for this dog. It's like, "Oh, baby, do you need anything? Oh, here, have some water. I'll just hold it for you." You know what I mean? Like this is like the kind of, you know, bond that they had, and all of a sudden he just went crazy. And we think that what happened is the spirit or whatever, as she was opening this doll, probably stood beside her, and he got confused in regards to the spirit to my daughter. It was like I feel like there was some sort of spiritual interference in there. But after that, like yeah, it was crazy. Like it was so sad too, right? Because they really did, love each other. Like, so Yeah, it was bizarre. And if you, it's hard to explain, but if you know my daughter, she's like Snow White. You know what I mean? She's one of those like walks down the street and fucking stray animals follow her. You know what I mean? So she loves animals and animals absolutely love her. So, you know, it was a really difficult thing because he was a really wonderful dog. But yeah, I think I was just trying to read what was written up here before. Sorry. I don't know if I read this. We believe it came from the field south of the cemetery. We were hearing things in the field in the woods during the whole investigation, and we were in the field preparing to pack up. I always say the best piece of equipment an investigator can have is the ones that you were born with, your senses.
Yep.
100%. Yeah.
That's what I told the same thing to my team is the best piece of equipment we have are ourselves. You know, paying attention to those feelings, pay attention to, you know, all of that. We pick up on more than we realize. Most people are just not conscious enough to pay attention to what their those senses are trying to tell them. You know, and yeah, so couldn't
I
agree more.
think that we doubt ourselves too so
Oh
much.
yeah,
Like,
we're so quick to rationalize feelings and experiences because I don't even know why that is. You know, maybe it's a cultural thing. I found that like when I lived in South America that the people down there were so much more open to those types of experiences. They're very, very
yeah,
spiritual,
yeah.
and they didn't cast anything aside as coincidence or any of it. It was all something, you know, something happened, it had meaning, and they would recognize that. Um, so and I think it's got to deal with just how busy our lives are and that we are so distracted by everything else. You know, I mean, everything that we do, we got to do super fast. We got to move super fast. We got to get to work. We got to do this. This is, you know, um, we don't take the time to slow down and really pay attention to what's going on. Uh,
We have no patience at all.
mhm. Yeah.
You know, is what I'm finding. Like people have just lost that element of the patience and really appreciating where we are in the present element as well. And we're
Yes.
always like 4 steps ahead, and I got to do this and I got to do that. And instead of actually staying where we are and enjoying what it is that we're receiving at this time. And if we
Yep.
just stopped and listened, we would actually really hear the messages that are coming through. This is one of the
100%.
reasons why I love doing readings. You know what I mean? Because when you're doing the reading, you're actually present with that person and you're able to, you know, really start hearing a lot more. You're really starting to, you know, pick up, receive a lot of the information that the person wants. And, you know, it as long as you're not in this place of like, you know, as long as the client's not like, you know, 8 steps ahead and what's going to happen next year? I got to know, is he going to call blah, you know, and you're just, okay, calm down. You know what I mean? Like, let's get to where we are right now. But it's the same thing with investigations too. People want the end result. They want
Yep.
to know, am I just haunted? Yes or no?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Rather than being in that state of, well, let's really investigate this. Let's actually
Hmm.
look into this. Let's,
Yep.
you know, let's observe,
Not
right?
only are you haunted, but why are those spirits there? You know, what, you know,
Exactly.
well, are they there? I mean, are they there just because they want to be there, or are they there to try to tell you something? Or are they trying to help you with something? So, yeah.
And I feel too, I think that, you know, for those out there that are watching, and, you know, you know, if you're wondering, hey, look, is spirit giving me a sign? Is spirit helping me? Is spirit protecting me? I mean,
Mm,
really, yeah, just kind of stop and listen, right? Stop and listen to your gut. If you're feeling like, you know, it's the same thing as sometimes being caught in traffic, right? We, you know, like they were saying, okay, it's not just about leaving the house though, it's about being stopped in traffic. Like sometimes, you know, we get into these, like, you know, sometimes you'll be driving and, okay, I'm really bad for this though. I am going to admit this, but you'll have like, you know, the 100-year-old person in front of you that's like do 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 do. You know what I mean? Right? And
Yeah.
where am I going? Beep. You know, like, but sometimes, you know what I mean? Like sometimes you listen to your gut, right? And there is a difference. And that's the thing. Sometimes we can just ask spirit, is there a reason why you're slowing me down? Or am I okay to just kind of go around this person? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, but spirit answers us. The only thing we have to do is actually listen, and it's usually the first message that's coming in. The reason that a lot of people will be like, "Oh, I don't hear it" or whatever, is because they don't like the answer that they're receiving.
Yeah. 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 That's a big one. I agree. Couldn't agree
Right?
more.
Yeah.
So,
And but spirit is always answering us. It's just we actually, you know, hey, look at it doesn't matter whether you like what spirit has to say or not, they're still responding. You know
mhm.
what I mean? So, what is I think that's all indigenous people, Trevor. Look at the spirituality and acceptance of the spirits in the spiritual realms. They are North American tribes. I feel it's due to them not being told it's bad or wrong. Yeah, absolutely, right? It's just it is what it is. It's there. Listen.
Yeah. And like I said, it's like I think it might even be just like it's like a cultural thing almost where it's like, you know, and we look at like where we live and the amount of technology that we have and how spirit and technology doesn't really gel well. The Yeah, and I think it's also to the point where we're maybe as a society we've come to believe that we know more than our spirits do or that God does or whatever, you know. But it's really truly amazing what can happen, you know, if you can slow down and tune into what those spirits are trying to tell us, you know, and it can protect us and it can help us and it can give us direction on things that we need to do or you know things that we can achieve. Um, but yeah, it's just I think it's just learning or relearning how to pay attention to those things.
This is why people that meditate or even
Hmm.
can even if it's not a matter of just sitting there with crossed legs and going, meditation can be like a walk without your devices,
Yep,
right? It's paying
100%.
attention to, you know, when as you're let's say you're going for a walk, it's paying attention to there's a leaf on the ground or a few leaves. Take a look at them. What color are
Yep.
they? Where, you know, like it's just different things like that, like paying attention and putting yourself into that place of being present now. That really, you know, kind of brings us back to our spiritual selves and it allows us to actually hear those around us.
Yes. Yes. Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more.
And on that note, we look forward to seeing you next week. We actually have the same guest that we had last week on. She's going to be joining us next week. I'm really excited to talk to her. I am really sorry. I actually have to look up her name because I'm kind of silly like that. Just give me 1 second. Kendra Shea Marie Mullings. So she was with us last week, and she's going to be joining us again next week. She's a fascinating lady, really, really wonderful, and hopefully all of us, Trevor, Lynda, me, we can all be here with you next week. So we really look forward to it. Take care, everybody. And again, please, please, please subscribe to our channel.
Yeah.
We truly appreciate it. And thank you so much for being here with us and have an amazing, blessed week. We'll see you later.